Today, I want to teach you that one way an author shapes a reader's relationship with a character is by shifting time, by including backstory and flash forward, and by doing other complicated things with time. When an author manipulates time in these ways, it's often to embed significant details about the character. Readers, I want you to take a couple minutes, pause the video, and jot a quick timeline of our read aloud story from your memory. Readers, to see the way that an author influences your relationship with a character by the author's use of time, it can help to first trace the big ways time moves across this story. Like here, can you see how time isn't moving in a regular sequence? Matt doesn't move time in equal segments across the story, does he? Some parts happen in one day, and others move across many days. So the question you can ask is, why would Matt do this? How does this irregular movement of time shape readers' relationships with a character? You might think the jumps in time are totally obvious, but they aren't. A lot of readers miss the little clues that authors include that show that time has moved forward or backward. Will you watch to see how I skim to find clues that signal that time has shifted, and then watch the way I think about how the shift in time might help influence my evolving relationship with the character? The first thing I look for are clues that might be at the start of a chapter or paragraph. I know authors often insert clues in these places. So it begins with a major clue about time. The first three words are, "It's finally summer." And then two sentences down, it says, "All year long, your mom's has been on you like glue about algebra worksheets and science fair projects." I'm trying to think about what these shifts in time might amount to. Listen to what I'm thinking and see if it helps you. The story starts, "It's finally summer." So it starts with the last day of school, and the narrator is reflecting back on his school year. That lets us know that the narrator is a student, even though he's not going to be in school for the rest of the story. Remember how he tells us about his assignments and his grades? It's clever, as this whole part lets us know the narrator is kind of a brainy and that his mom wants him to be a good student. Let's see. He goes on in the same part saying more about being at school. And then there's this new chapter, "The Fate of Your Hoop Development." Let's look if there is a clue about time at the start of the chapter. Yes. For the past 3 years, you've spent every free minute bawling at an outdoor court down the street from your building. After school, after games, weekends, you name it. I want you to think for a second. You'll probably need to pause the video and have your reading notebook ready. Matt put that in for a reason. What does this bit of time tell us about the character? It's so interesting, readers. Here, the narrator looks back over the school year, and we learn about the narrator being kind of brainy. Then we find out how he's been playing ball every chance he gets for 3 years. It makes him seem determined and skilled. Did you see how I underlined keywords and phrases? And then I jotted in the margin what I think they accomplish. When you can write in a book, you can do this too. You certainly can write in the short stories you read, and maybe you'll want to own some of your own club books in the future. Readers, let's go on with this a bit. Once you're alert to how time is shifting in big ways and you're paying attention to clues at the start of the chapters and paragraphs, it can also be interesting to look at any parts where time shifts more than once inside that part. Often, those parts can suggest new insights about characters. I've already picked out one of these sections. It's a part where our narrator has finally gotten to play. And we found out that Dante, the player who's being so tough on him, was actually trying to mentor him. Make sure you have your copy in front of you and put your finger right on the line you want to get in games. I'm going to reread this, and as I do, will you mark words or phrases that give clues about how time moves in these parts? Afterwards, I'll give you a chance to think about how time moves in the part and how that movement of time helps us better understand characters. I'm going to read from the snippet from chapter Don't Just Sit There Like a Punk, pages 18 and 19. You want to get in games? You don't just sit there like a punk, right? You stand up and challenge the baddest dude in the gym, someone like me. Then you do your thing. Understand? His intense eyes will be like knives into your chest. Yes, sir. He'll stand up and nod, then jog back onto the court, shouting, Yo, check ball, let's go. You'll think this is the beginning of some meaningful mentorship, but it won't be. In fact, Dante won't say another word to you for the rest of the summer, not even when you ask him a direct question. But over time, you'll begin to see the power of his silence. And surprisingly, it will remind you of your old man's silence. A few months ago, into your 9th grade season, you'll actually spot Dante in the stands at one of your games. He'll be alone eating popcorn, watching. You'll be the starting point guard on the varsity squad, which is pretty legit for a freshman. And you'll be having your best game of the season. You'll wave as you jog past him at halftime, but he won't wave back. He'll continue eating his popcorn. After the game, you'll climb the packed bleachers looking for him, but he'll already be gone. Your old man will be there, though. And on the drive back to your apartment that night, you'll realize something important. Your old man is always there, and he always has been. I want to give you one tip. When you hear words like always or every or often, those are clues that the author is layering time. Like Matt writes that Pop is always there at his ball games. Watch for that in your novels as well. In literary theory, that's called a suggested repeated narrative. It's like the author gives these clues that something is happening again and again, and that helps you get a better sense of things developing for the character over time. You may want to think about that in your reading as well. Readers, were you marking up your passages? You might want to take another minute, pause the video, and jot your thinking in your notebook. What did you notice about the movement of time? What are you thinking? Okay, now let's circle back to our relationship as readers to these characters and how the author is influencing that. How do these time shifts help build a relationship between you and a character, whether it's a narrator, Dante, or the dad? Take a moment to think about that. So I'm wondering if these flash forwards are actually changing our relationship to Dante and to the dad. Because you know that both men continue to be there for our narrator. You can forgive them for their apparent rudeness and silliness during the present moment. By adding those flash forwards, Matt was able to change and deepen our relationships to the characters to make their not so nice actions seem smaller in light of their continued presence. This is something you can always do as you read. Remain alert to how shifts in time might be an author's way of getting you to see a different side of the character. Let's add some of this thinking to our notes. So I added that what he does is use flash forwards to show that Dante is present in the boy's life, and possible reasons might be to show Dante is actually invested in the boy. Readers, as you go off to read today, be alert to authorial control of time and how your authors use time shifts to develop your relationship with characters. Look for passages where you notice time going backward or forward or slowing down. If you find a passage like that, try slowing down and paying particular attention to how the author is developing your relationship with the character. You might choose a passage to annotate or to jot about. Okay, readers, off you go.